the first thing you hear is this particular default music.
Oh,
I remember it very
okay.
vividly. It goes.
Welcome back to Pod 'em Up, episode 7. My name is Tibbs, and with me is my good friend Ollie.
Hello, how you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Just I was just saying to you just before the recording, I had my daughter's second birthday party today, so a little bit tired, but yeah, all good, all went well.
Been busy.
Yeah, I've been busy, but yeah, she enjoyed it.
What does I'm not having kids myself and being too old to remember my own second birthday. What does a second birthday party consist of?
It's mostly this was a family affair, so it's mostly the same as all our family birthdays. Really, we have for the kids. We have like a little pass the parcel, and they all get excited about that. But yeah, there's balloons, birthday cake, just sort of party food, that kind of thing. Just a nice little family thing. There wasn't really any friends or anything. Just it was nice. My parents, my wife's family. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, nice little day. Yeah. So what you been up to?
Not a great deal. No parties.
No. Well, you can't. Yeah, it can't all be party time, can it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, have you been?
Yeah, I've got a few. Been doing a few sort of projects.
Have you?
And got a few little things on the go.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get Homebrew running on an old Xbox 360.
Oh,
and
cool.
I just can't get it to work. I've followed everything. I've followed all the steps. I've got it all wired perfectly. I've unwired it. I've rewired it all. It's been doing my head in. I've spent, like all the YouTube videos I've watched and all the guides I've read say, it's about an hour and a half job. I've been at it all day, and it's just not playing ball. So I've put it aside for now. And
I don't know what would be involved in that. I'm guessing it's quite a fiddly sort of technical thing to sort of to work. Is it to work with the 360? I guess in general is
it is for the 360.
Must be quite complicated
because they're locked down.
Yeah.
Quite well, and
Yeah.
you need to. It's called the reset glitch hack. You need to program a little chip that will force the CPU to reset like really quickly. It's got to be timed perfectly as you boot the console, and then you can sort of run your homebrew emulators and things like that. There's a few intermediary steps, but basically you've got to get the CPU to glitch as it boots, and then you can sort of run any code that you want basically. But it's very, very temperamental, and I just can't get it to. I can't get the actual glitch to work at the moment, but I'll get there. It's
it's
all
cool.
part of the fun, isn't it?
Cool project if you can get it working, then.
Yeah, it'd be good because I think the RetroPie and things like that, they're good for playing sort of emulators on the TV, but I think with the extra clout of that an Xbox 360's got in comparison, maybe stuff like N64 emulation might run a little bit smoother, and it's just a fun thing to play around with. It's just something it's just a project for fun, really.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, those sort of the people behind like RetroArch and stuff have got it running on all sorts of systems, haven't they?
Yeah, it's on pretty much everything now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I follow them on Twitter. They're coming out with sort of updates on like various emulators and sort of consoles they're working on, getting the emulators running on all the time. It's just amazing.
It's been ported to Switch now recently.
Yes, I saw. Yeah. I mean that's a hell of a thing if you can get that sort of portable,
I've not dabbled with any of the Switch stuff yet because I can't afford more than one Switch, and I
No,
don't want my only Switch to get banned. So,
no. Yeah, you're running a
you
bit of
know,
a risk there.
in a few years when the Switches are a bit cheaper, then maybe I'll dabble with a bit there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so, have you been playing much since the last show?
Not a great deal, no. I mean, first of all, we as featured in the last episode, we had the great cold, which of my daughter's cold, which set us back a bit. And then after that, for a good week or so, she decided that she'd make sort of as early as 3:30 a.m. her standard wake up time. That's it. That's me. I'm up. The start of the day. So going to bed any later than about 9:30 was not really an option. But yeah, I've just settled a bit down now. So I've just mostly for the purpose of having something to talk about in this segment, I've gone through a couple of demos that I've found just sort of nice quick things to I wanted to play them anyway, but
Okay.
So Horizon Chase Turbo, do you know that one?
I've never heard of that.
Really? It's
No.
I think you'd like it. It's an arcade racer basically. It's polygonal, but it's it mimics the older games where it's sort of sprite scaling.
Were you playing this on PlayStation 4?
Yeah,
I think I saw it when I logged in. It said, Ollie's been playing this, and it did catch my eye. I thought, oh, that looks interesting.
yeah. It's very
But
bright.
I can follow.
It's very bright, very colourful. What I liked about it is you boot it up, and within like 10 to 20 seconds, you're in there, you're playing, and there's no like. It's very kind of traditional in that sense. It's just a nice, simple arcade racer. Really, really sort of slick. And I think I might get it. It's coming out on the Switch at the end of the month. I might get it off for that. But I'd recommend you check it out. It's pretty good. It's got a sort of a real outrun feel to it. It's more traditional racers rather than the sort of split track kind of thing. But yeah, I think you'd like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that out. It's a demo for free on PS4 then, is there?
Yeah,
Or...
yeah, it's there for PS4.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
got
I
like
mean, we discussed in a previous show how demos seem to be a rarity these days, don't they?
yeah,
So
I
it's
know.
nice
I always
to
keep
actually find something.
yeah, I keep an eye on the list. Any new ones come out that look interesting, I'll give them a go. Because an obvious way to tell people about your game and get them to play
Yeah.
it. And the amount of games I've bought, particularly on things like Xbox Live Arcade, where everything has a demo,
Yeah.
where I've bought games off the back of enjoying the demo. So it's just such a
Yeah.
logical thing to do. I don't
Always
know
worked back in the day with cover discs and
exactly.
stuff. I don't know why it faded into obscurity.
Yeah, so few games have demos now. It's really it's baffling to me really why they don't do it. There's no real reason. But yeah, that I enjoyed. Another game series that you recommended to me on a previous show was Hitman.
Oh, brilliant!
There's a
Yeah,
Hitman. I think there's Hitman 2 coming out soon, isn't there?
there is. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think this was Hitman 1. And I know there's been previous Hitman games. So I don't know if you know these like sort of reboot kind of things or.
No, they're not. They're sequels. I mean, there is a storyline that runs amongst them, but it's not like you don't need to.
Okay.
It's not in depth enough that you need to follow the story in each one. All you need to know really is he kills people.
Yeah, I kind of got that.
Basically,
Yeah,
yeah.
I sort of looked through the sort of interface, and it's basically just sort of missions where you've just got to target different people. So I kind of got the sense that there wasn't really, a string of storyline particularly to it. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't.
Each game tends to have its own little storyline, but there's not like if you've never played a Hitman game before, you don't need to start from like
Okay,
the first one
you
and
can
play all the
dive
way
in
through.
anyway.
Each entry in the series is its self-contained story for the most part.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Um,
Which one did you play then? Was it just Hitman?
yeah, just just Hitman one, like the new Hitman. I
The
think
new,
it came
yeah,
out last year. I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It's got a couple of missions on it, and they're quite sort of tutorially in the sense that they tell you, literally go here, talk to this guy,
What
do that.
mission was it?
It was one where it's like a cruise, like a docked cruise ship that you're
Oh
wandering in,
yeah,
and you've got to kill the guy. And then another one which was, I mean, I think these were simulations, but it was like a
yeah.
1960s one where in like the aircraft hangar,
Hmm.
where you've got to kill the guy by releasing the ejector seat. What I loved about that was you do that mission, you release the ejector seat, he's in it, he goes sky high, and no one seems to bat
I
an
know.
eyelid.
I know you get an undetected kill for that, didn't you?
Yeah, and there's people hanging around, and you can literally walk past them and just like, hello, you all right? Just walk out, and no one seems to mind that you just clearly released the ejector seat and killed someone. It's bizarre, but anyway, that was it was enjoyable. I liked it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a really fun game because especially in the full game. I don't know how limited the demo is, but
mm,
in the full game, there's so many different ways
yeah,
you can get the targets, and there's so many whatever way you can think you can think of like some completely nuts way to you think, oh, what if I did this, what if I did this,
mm.
and it will work.
Oh,
It's
right,
like the
okay,
developers have thought of pretty much every avenue you would go to complete the mission, and
yeah, that's really interesting.
it's really quite creative in its own
Yeah,
way.
I mean the demo tells you literally a step-by-step instruction how to kill them, but I don't know if you could do other things as well, possibly.
Hmm. Oh,
But yeah, that definitely sounds really interesting. I might pick that up eventually
yeah,
when
yeah,
I've
it's
got
well
time
worth
to
picking up.
play it. I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Or I'd highly recommend the old version for Xbox 360
okay.
or PC,
Mm,
Blood Money.
okay.
That's probably the best game in the series. I think even I haven't played Hitman 2. I
Mm.
think I don't even know if that's out yet. It's imminent.
I
It's
think
like
it's imminent.
within
Yeah.
it's like the next week or so it's due out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Blood Money's well worth picking up. You can get it quite cheap if you shop around. So
Okay.
yeah, recommended.
Yeah, I'll have a look out for that one. Cool. What else? Mega Man 11. Do you
Oh yeah.
do you have much affinity for the Mega Man series?
Not really, just because I'm bad at it.
Yeah, same here. Same
I
here.
just not.
I haven't.
It becomes an exercise in frustration
It
more than
does,
anything.
yeah. I think this one. I mean, this one at least has like a casual mode where it just kind of gives you infinite lives, and I think makes it a little bit easier. So I think they're kind of, realizing that the sort of the climate has changed in terms of how much punishment people are willing to accept in a game. When I mean,
Yeah,
gaming is much more disposable now. You don't have to. You're not stuck with a game for months. So if people find it too difficult, they'll just turn it off and play something else. So I think they understand that. But I think
yeah.
there's also the challenge there as well for the old school fans. But yeah,
I've
that was quite
I've
good.
heard people online say it does for Mega Man what Sonic Mania did for
Yes,
Sonic.
I've heard that as well. And not, I mean, I've played a little bit of previous Mega Man games, but I wouldn't be an authority to tell you that. But yeah, what I played, I quite enjoyed. The only thing that put me off a bit, I found there was a particular point where there was like a series of platforms, like a group of platforms connected, and they're on a conveyor belt and they're moving towards this big spiky thing, and you've got to jump up through the platforms before it smashes into the spike thing.
Hmm.
There's like there's like a hole, there's like a gap between two platforms above you that you've got to jump up into. And for the life of me, I just couldn't get up there, or if I did, I couldn't then get out of the platforms in time because this hole looks like you can get through it, but it's almost as if the collision box of Mega Man is exactly the same width as the hole, and you've got to be absolutely pixel perfect when you jump. And I was just doing all these jumps, just hitting the ceiling, like almost an invisible ceiling. And
Hmm.
it was real. I don't know if it was a bug. It might have been, but it's because it seemed like I could do it, but it just and I died over and over and over again. I thought I'm quite enjoying this. I want to get through it, but I had to give up eventually because it was just really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I know I did a playthrough. I watched a playthrough on YouTube, and someone just managed to avoid that section entirely. So that it was obviously possible to get around it, but I don't know.
It's funny the whole dying over and over and over again while other
Hmm.
people on YouTube can fly through it. A lot of the games I have that bug.
Yes.
It's really strange.
Yes.
Seems to affect almost all my
Yeah,
games.
that bug where you can't do it but everyone else can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an. I wish they'd
It's
patch it out.
yeah, I know. It's but yeah, that's so that put me off a bit. But yeah, if I see it cheap, I might pick it up. It's quite good. It seems like the kind of thing that I would enjoy,
Yeah.
especially if there's a more casual mode where it's a bit easier to do. Well, it's not. I've just been. Other than that, I've just been cracking on with Chrono Trigger. Not much more progress made on that, but I'm still plugging away. Oh
That's
my.
going to be like we're going to have a segment on the show where we have a catch up with where you are on
Yeah,
Chrono
I know.
Trigger
It's
for each
ridiculous. I
episode.
mean, it's not even that. I think it's like a 25-hour typical length RPG, which isn't even that. It's like that's sort of like half the length of a typical RPG. But
Yeah.
I started it in mid-June, I think, and it'll probably take me the whole year just to finish it off. It's just the way it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
I think next year I won't do an RPG. I'll try and stick to like 10 hours or less games. I think that's my New Year's resolution, perhaps. Yeah, the only other thing to note is I introduced Alice to her first game this month. We
Ah,
played Sonic Mania together.
brilliant.
Yeah, and I was playing it. She could see that I was controlling what was going on the screen on the controller, and she wanted to go. So I thought had the Joy-Con, so I thought I'll give you the right Joy-Con, and then you can do the jumping, and I'll do the moving.
Mm.
Which unfortunately the right Joy-Con also has the home button and the start button, which we had to we had quite a bit of initially, but then she kind of figured out that if I press the jump button, he jumps, and there's quite a magical moment your first ever realization that you can influence something on the screen
Yeah, I bet.
in
Yeah.
gaming. I could see it, and she really enjoyed it. I think she sort of, I would tell her to jump, and sort of 5 seconds, she would look at the controller, and 5 seconds later she would jump, and she'd see it, and she'd be really really happy about it. And it was really sweet.
Yeah, that's
But
amazing.
yeah, but it's I'll it's a good introduction, and I kind of
Mm.
want to keep it, try it again a few times, show her some other games, and then see if she's. I don't want to force her into gaming if she doesn't want to, but she seems quite interested. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So what have you been playing in the past month?
Um, Mostly just bits and pieces. I don't know if I've been. Oh yeah. I bought in a one of those poster bargains.
Oh yeah.
They had a deal on Detroit Become Human for
Oh yeah.
PS4.
I've got a demo down for that, but I haven't played it yet.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It looked quite interesting. I watched the trailer. It looked quite an interesting game.
It's quite interesting, but there's a bit. I'm hoping it's gonna.
Whoops, sorry, that was me dropping a coaster. Carry on.
I'm hoping that it's gonna be explained as the game goes on because I'm not. I think I'm about a third of the way through the game, so there's still plenty of time for it to pick up. But I mean, the basic concept is there's these androids knocking about, and they're sort of subservient to humans,
Mm.
and some of them are becoming sort of self-aware and um, causing havoc. They're sort of killing people, or they're going rogue and disappearing, and all sorts. The thing is, the way you can tell an android from a normal person is they've got like this little, like a LED thing on their temple, like a little circular LED, and it sort of flashes to
Right.
show their emotions and things like that.
Hmm.
There's a bit in the game where one of the without delving too much into spoilers, I don't think it's a spoiler to say. I think even the subtitle of the game, Become Human, sort of describes where they're going to go with the
Yeah.
story. But
Yeah.
one of these androids gets cast aside, and he thinks, right, I've had enough of this. And he puts himself back together, repairs himself, and he just pulls off this LED thing,
Mm.
and the skin grows over, so he looks just like a person. It's like, why would you build that as a feature? In an android? Why would you build that as a feature?
Yeah.
I always assumed that this little LED was like wired straight into their little robot head, and it wasn't. You couldn't just like flick it off, and that was it. And
Do the other androids know about this? I mean,
that's what I mean. I mean, do they know about it? How
yeah.
did he know about it? And then another one. Actually, yes, they must know about it because another one does it like shortly after.
Yeah.
And I just paused the game and I was just thinking, this doesn't make sense. This is daft. But I'm hoping that there might be like a really logical explanation for it. But at the moment, it's really taken the wind out of the sails of the
Yeah.
game for me a bit because it's like, well, that doesn't make sense.
Oh
Why?
yeah, I hate that. It just yeah,
If
this,
they wanted to hide it, they could have just put a hat on or something. I'd have gone with that, a beanie or something over
yeah,
it. Fine,
yeah.
I can accept that. But
It's weird,
yeah,
that guy. He always wears a hat. He never takes it off. Do you think he's trying to hide something? Nah, it's just cold.
nah, she's got really cold air. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, it's all right. I mean, if you've played any Quantic Dream games before, like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, or it's just it's sort of standard. It's gameplay is minimal. It's more about the story than
Yeah,
anything else.
I
So
haven't played those. It's sort of at sort of talking to people and kind of uncovering
yeah,
things. It's kind of is there different routes that you can take? It's sort of like a multi-threaded thing,
yeah,
isn't it?
definitely. There are, the story will change depending on what choices you make, and
Yeah.
like there's characters who can, depending on your actions, you might end up getting characters killed, and that will alter the course of the game. And
Hmm.
so, it's interesting. It's worth playing, but
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't pay full price for it. I mean,
Yeah. What
the
did?
reason I'd held off for so long for it was like it seemed to hold its value at around sort of £50, £40, and it's
Right.
a little bit more than I'm willing to spend on it. So
Yeah.
I got it second hand, and it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all
Okay.
right.
Cool. I'll give the demo a go at some point. I think because it did look interesting.
Yeah, the demo is like the opening section of the game,
Okay.
and the demo's really good, and the
Hmm.
opening's really good, and then just after that it grinds to a complete halt for about an hour.
Ah, that's a
But
shame.
yeah, but the opening's really good, so definitely
Yeah.
give the demo a go.
Yeah. Yeah. I will do. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I played the Tetris Effect demo.
Oh yeah. So did I. Yeah. I
Really liked
Yeah. Yeah. It's very sort of mesmerizing, isn't it?
it.
Yeah, I think I saw either you tweeted about it or someone else, and I was at home working, and I thought, oh, because it was only a limited time demo, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I thought, oh, I'll go downstairs and download that and give that a quick go. So I played that for 10 minutes, just on a break, and that was, yeah, it's really, it's really interesting.
it
I was listening
is.
to a podcast that mentioned it the other day, and the guy said, why it's 2018? Why am I excited about a Tetris game? But
Yeah,
just in just in a kind of humorous way. But yeah, it was it's did you play it in VR?
I didn't yet. No, I wish I
Okay.
did because the demo is like a time demo.
Hmm.
I went to play it today, and it just loads the title screen with an option to buy the game, and it
Uh,
won't let you play it anymore.
because it was limited anyway, wasn't it? You couldn't play the whole thing,
No, no,
presumably.
you can play the whole thing.
What?
It was like there was a time limit on it, but
Yeah, that seems a bit silly putting a time limit on it. I don't know
yeah,
what's to be gained from that, really.
yeah, but yeah, well, I've ordered the full game,
Hmm.
but I had to because the game's out now. You can go buy it now.
Yeah.
But for some reason the UK didn't get a physical release of the game.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
digital only, so I've had to order the physical copy from Amazon.com,
Hmm.
and it's sort of international shipping, so it's going to be like end of next week before it's here. So
Yeah.
um, when it's here, the first thing I'll be doing is trying to give the VR mode a try because apparently that's really something special.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I can imagine that would just completely sort of consume you. I'd have thought.
yeah,
Because it's
yeah. So I'll be giving my thoughts on that on the next
yeah,
show. But yeah, I really enjoyed that.
it's a bit like that. Is it by the same developer as Res?
Yes,
Yeah, I was going to say that that'll be why it's probably why it's like Res. In that the actions you make influence the soundtrack, don't they?
yes,
Yeah,
they
it's
do.
very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. It's just a
Mm,
really there's been so many different takes on Tetris over the
mm,
years.
mm.
You could be forgiven for thinking that there's not really much more you can do with Tetris. So to see something come out that's garnered so much excitement and interest, like
Yeah,
is really, that's really good.
yeah, it's good to see. Mm.
And the other game I've been playing is Grip.
This is it's a racing game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically a spiritual successor to the Roll Cage
That's
games
right. Yeah, yeah. I remember you
back on
tweeting
PlayStation
about it.
1.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it?
It's really good.
It looked good. It looked good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's basically the sequel that we never got.
Mm.
There was I don't know if there's. I think there's some developers who worked on the original games that are on this. Working on the development team for Grip. So
Mm.
I might be
Oh, that's
wrong
cool.
about that, but I do think there is some crossover with the developers there.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
But it's kind of just like it's Wipeout on wheels, basically. So
Yeah.
it's just like this futuristic high-speed racing, and you've got weapons, and but the gimmick with Grip is that the cars the wheels are bigger than the body of the car, basically. So you
Yeah.
can flip over and keep driving, and you can drive on the ceiling and fall back down and keep going, and
Mm.
it makes it really quite frenetic racing. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Gonna put some more time into it. There are some really odd choices though with the interface.
Oh yeah.
Like every PlayStation game I've ever played has you use the X or the circle button. Generally in the West we use the X button. In Japan they tend to use the circle button to
Yes.
select.
Yes.
To start a race, you go through all the menus and stuff. To actually confirm that you want to start the race in this one, you press triangle,
That's a bit odd.
which is,
That's back, isn't it?
I was
Usually,
going to
in
say
quite a
that's
lot of
back.
things.
So
Yeah.
like it's been hardwired into my brain
Yeah.
since like '95 that triangle is back,
That seems
and
a bit odd. Yeah.
I just don't know why they did that, except for the menu where you go to view all your race stats and stuff, where triangle is back and circle or X is select again. So it's just seen there's like no consistency.
Hmm.
Very strange. I know it was on the PC in early access for a while, so I don't
Hmm.
know if this is like some kind of side effect of it being ported from the PC and the interface was. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but yeah, very very peculiar sort of joypad mapping. But doesn't detract from the game, and it's pretty cheap. I think you can get it for like 25 quid new.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a great deal of fun with that. So
Alright. Is that a physical release or just digital?
yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's on Switch as well. I don't know
Yes.
how I got the PS4 version
Hmm.
because I wasn't sure how well it would run on the Switch, but I'm hoping it runs well. And it would be a fun thing to have on the Switch, for portable
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
Yes. I think that I saw it on the eShop on the Switch.
hmm.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting game. Yeah. I need some more racing games to play. I'm in a bit of a mood for racing games lately. So yeah, I might try that. Awesome.
We need a new Outrun. That's what we need.
We definitely need a new Outrun. Yeah.
It's been.
there
There's no excuse.
no, there are spiritual successors.
There are.
There is one, I've forgotten what it's called now. Slipstream or something like that. That looks quite
I
good.
don't know that one.
Yeah, it's got sort of a retro-ish look to it as well. Yeah.
I just don't know. It's another case of Sega having all these franchises in their portfolio and just not doing anything with them.
Yeah, I know. I think we're all hopeful that they're starting to realise that now. Things
I
like
hope
Streets of
so.
Rage 4
Streets of
and
Rage.
stuff. I'm hoping that they now see that they've got a potentially very big market with the recent love of retro gaming and stuff, and they know that they've got a huge back catalogue of games, of franchises that people really, really like and really want to see more of.
Did I see there's another Streets of Rage fan project launched recently?
I did see a hint of that somewhere, but I didn't.
Got a feeling it's called Streets of Rage Mania.
Yes.
Like a Nodonic Mania.
Yeah, I saw that, the logo, but I didn't. I sort of scrolled past it. I didn't really think anything more of it, but I wasn't sure what it was.
I mean, I will have to look into it, but I think it's a odd decision by whoever's developing it to announce it, given that Streets of Rage Remake was shut down by Sega
Yeah.
years ago before we even knew there was going to be a Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
So
And
now there is a
to do it
Rage.
now alongside Streets of Rage 4 is a bit
Yeah,
odd,
it's a very odd decision. I'd have kept the lid on that until it was, and then just release it when it's
Yeah.
too late to do anything about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But,
and quick, get it while you can. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, a bit odd.
But, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's basically been what I've been up to. That's
Okay.
I can't think of anything else that we need to cover in terms of that.
Yeah. Any sort of news items that?
I was going to say anything
Good.
in the news that we need to cover.
Well, we had the because last time we were talking about the PlayStation Classic, weren't we? I know
Hmm.
that all the games have been announced for it now, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
What are your feelings about the list?
I've heard lots of things like, oh, people are angry about the list, people are upset about the list. I
Hmm.
think it's a really solid selection of games,
Hmm.
personally.
Yeah, there's some
Um, Resident
interesting
Evil
games in there.
Director's Cut, Metal Gear Solid,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, some really good, really good stuff on there. I mean, I think Tomb Raider is an obvious oversight because it was
Yeah.
so synonymous with PlayStation back in the day. But
Mm.
I can imagine there's all sorts of licensing
Yeah.
troubles with that,
A
so
lot of
I can see
people
why that's not there.
a lot of people say that the original Tomb Raiders are difficult to play now.
It
So
ha Yeah, yeah, it
compared
hasn't
to a
aged
modern,
as well as it.
yeah, it's one of those early sort of 3D, sort of navigating a 3D world in a third person view that is,
But
you
then they
know,
got Jumping Flash on there.
yeah, true. That was one
I
of the
mean
earliest ones, yeah.
I love it, but it looks a bit ropey these days. To be kind to it, it's a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, mm,
So I don't know, but
I think that,
apparently the whole console's running on an open source emulator.
yeah, I heard that. I heard that PCSX, I think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
a bit of an odd choice, I
Interesting
think.
choice, yeah.
Because I mean, Sony's got all their, they've obviously got in-house developers doing backwards compatibility for, the PS2, the PS3, or they have built-in emulators
Yeah,
for PS1. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
they've got their own
strange.
tech they
There
can
must
bring
have
to
been a
the table.
reason to go with it. Maybe they,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe they found it was better. I don't know.
Well, again, some people are saying the sort of is not rendering at the right aspect ratios and stuff, but
Mm.
I don't know. I'm still excited for it
Yeah,
personally. I think is a really good selection of games. The only criticism I would have about the games is the choice to use Resident Evil Director's Cut rather than the original Resident Evil.
oh really?
Are you familiar with the soundtrack for?
No, no, I'm not. No.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do when we edit this together, at this point now, I'm going to cut in a little sample of the Resident Evil Director's Cut soundtrack just for everyone to enjoy.
Okay,
And then hopefully no more will need to be said as to why I think they should have gone with the original
fair
Resident Evil.
enough. Is that the only change they made that was
No, there,
significant?
there are other. Wow, I mean, one of the big things with actually, it'd be interesting to see if they fix this. Come to think of it, one of the big features of Resident Evil Director's Cut when it originally came out was it was supposed to be, things that were cut out of the original game were going to be restored,
Hmm.
including the introduction sequence. When it was released originally, the introduction sequence was changed to black and white because it was thought to be too gory.
Okay.
And there were scenes, there's like a scene where a guy picks up a gun and he pulls it up and it's got like a severed arm attached to it. And it cuts before you actually see too much of the detail.
Hmm.
And in the original uncut intro, you can see the full severed arm and things like that. That
Okay.
was supposed to be restored in the director's cut, but due to a mix-up when they were pressing the discs, they ended up with the original cut one. And to sort of fix it, they just gave everyone they put the video up on the website and just said, you could download it, and that was it. So
I love
it'd be,
screw ups like that. They're brilliant, aren't they?
yeah, I know.
Like putting the wrong
So
thing on the disc, like the wrong build on the disc and stuff like that. You hear about that about certain
yeah,
games, don't
I
you?
think I don't want to get too off topic, but it reminded me of that. I think it's the American release of Strider and Strider 2, the ports they did for the PlayStation.
Hmm.
They literally put Strider 1 on the Strider 2 disc and vice versa. It's like, how do you make that mistake?
It's brilliant, yeah, isn't it? You think like, right, this is our big moment. We've got this is the build that we're going to press on the disc. Are you
Yeah,
sure it's the correct one? Yep, all fine. I've checked it, all ready to go. Okay, click
that's
or
it.
whatever you do
And
to
I,
confirm it, and then yeah. It's
I
weird, isn't it?
think the original Xbox was it True Crime Streets of LA or the sequel, one of the True Crime games. They put a development build instead of the final build
Yeah.
on the disc, and it made one of the bosses completely unbeatable.
Oh no, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
and yeah, it's like wow, tough. That's the disc. That's what's there
Yeah.
now. So good luck with that.
Yeah, the only one of that I can think of was more of a glitch that they couldn't patch in time was WWF No Mercy on the N64. There was a glitch in that where you could create your character, and it would just randomly decide to erase all the data of the character, like all the settings you made for him and everything. And it would be so annoying because it would reset the music that you assigned him as well. So I would have this character. I'd have dressed him and put theme music on, and you wouldn't know until like a match starts. So your opponent comes out, and then you come out, and you get the first thing you hear is this particular default music. And I
Oh
remember it very
no.
vividly. It goes, and it, and it's just like, oh no, he's gone again. And it was the most frustrating thing ever. It made me like not play the game basically because it was a good game, but it was just that glitch just ruined it for me.
That's unforgivable.
Yeah, I know it's terrible. I think they made an offer to because later versions they fixed it, and I think they made an offer to replace all the cartridges, but for some reason I didn't do it, or maybe I heard about it too late or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only one like that I've encountered. But that glitch haunts me to this very day. It's
Oh.
just that music, man. That music. I haven't heard it in like nearly 20 years, but I still remember it.
But yeah, I mean, I, I think there's a lot of negativity about the PlayStation Mini. I think it's still early days. I mean, the people's opinions of it that have seen it, I think, are coming from a press event that they held to try and drum up interest.
Mm,
So I still think there's plenty of time for them to address any issues that have been raised before the final release.
yeah.
So I think there's
Yeah.
still
Hopefully.
time, and
Mm.
I think it's a great selection of
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. It'll
So
still be a good seller for them because these mini consoles are very popular at the moment, and
yeah,
a lot the PS1 has so many fans and a special place in a lot of people's hearts. I think so. It'll really take them back. I think.
yeah, definitely.
Mm. Awesome.
Okay, so brings us neatly onto the topic of PlayStation.
Mm.
Should we take a quick break and then get into our book club game of the month, Medieval?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, back after this. Don't go anywhere. And we're back with Pod'em Up. Thank you for staying with us. That was a
Thanks for
short
not
break,
thanks
but
for not wandering off. That
yeah,
was we really appreciate that. Thanks.
yeah, we do. I mean,
Maybe for some people thought it was over. I don't know.
imagine that people listen to the show.
Oh,
They
they've gone.
always say they're going to cover these games, and then it finishes
Yeah,
before they do.
yeah. They just really short attention span. As soon as people stop talking, they stop listening. Yeah.
So, PlayStation,
PlayStation,
Medieval
MediEvil.
would have been a really good game to get out an episode for Halloween.
Yeah, I know. I
Hindsight.
I, I thought, did you pick MediEvil to time it with Halloween?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I wish I did. 'Cause, I wish I could say yes, it was all planned, but no.
Yeah, it also makes sense given that they just released the like a proper trailer for the new
I
version, didn't they?
know.
Yeah, it was amazing
We did
timing.
this before with what I can't remember what episode it was. We did another episode where we picked a game, and then after we picked like the day after, all people on sort of YouTube started covering it, and people on Twitter were talking about it. I can't remember what episode it was now, but it's happened before. We got our finger on the pulse, man.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
know. It
is.
was Klonoa, wasn't it?
It was,
Mm.
yes, it was
Yeah,
Klonoa, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I
Mm. I briefly played the sequel, but the other day, by the way, I told you I got
oh yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
PS2 one. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah,
it is very good.
yeah. I only played one level, but yeah, I like it. Very good.
So,
So,
did you like MediEvil?
um, I'm gonna say not entirely.
Really?
Yeah, I know this is a bit of a shocker, but
Yeah.
this is the first game that we've done so far that I'm not overall positive about.
Oh
I'm
wow.
sorry to
Okay.
say. Yeah, but we'll get to that in a minute. But should we? Should we? I was hoping to reveal that a little bit later after we've done done the sort of basic, gist of the game, really. So should we do that, and then I'll explain what I didn't get on with about this game.
Okay. Well, let's do this. As given this may be the last episode of Podomath, because we our friendship may dissolve shortly after this. But
Okay.
oh, what is
All right.
this?
Oh, awkward.
Well,
Sorry.
it's a controversial one. Okay,
Controversial
so
one. Yeah.
MediEvil,
Mm,
platformer,
yeah.
action platformer. I'd say action platformer or sort of hack and slash type
Yeah.
game.
Thr
Released in '98. I want
yes,
to
I've got
say.
October '98.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So 20 years ago. Um,
Um, it was a big game at the time. It was being pushed a lot in sort of magazines,
yeah.
and the official PlayStation magazine cover disc actually had a documentary about the making of it, sort of a behind the scenes
Okay.
type thing included on the disc. So
Yeah.
Sony were really pushing it as like an up and coming sort of franchise. So
I must admit, I'm because I didn't have a PlayStation. I did collect Games Master magazine, and I
hmm,
did get a general sense of some of the PS1 games from that. And I do vaguely remember the character,
yeah.
but when you said medieval in the last episode, I couldn't I pictured that character, but I didn't really know anything about the game.
Hmm,
So I kind of vaguely knew about it, but it wasn't
yeah.
something that because there's a lot of other PS1 games I know of and haven't necessarily played, but they're clear in my mind what they are. This one, although I'm sure it was pushed, I didn't, it wasn't that on my radar that much as a non PS1 owner.
Well, I think that's part of the reason I wanted to cover it because I
Hmm.
felt that it really was it's an underappreciated an underappreciated classic. I think our opinions will differ, but
Well, yeah, carry
uh,
on.
yeah, I just saw it. It's always puzzled me why nothing more was done with it. There
Hmm.
was a sequel. There was
Yes.
Medieval 2,
Hmm.
and they did do a remake of questionable quality, depending on your stance of it for the PSP.
Hmm.
And obviously, they're now remaking it again for the PS4. But other than after the second game, and not many people know about the second game even. I mean,
Hmm.
it just seemed to it was big for a while. I think it sold well. It found an audience, but then it just sort of disappeared. It sort of fizzled away, and
Hmm.
I thought that was a bit of a shame. So I wanted to shine a bit of a spotlight on it, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly not a since then it hasn't been a big name in sort of gaming or retro
No,
gaming particularly.
no.
Um, yeah.
So the game itself, you play a little skeleton
Hmm.
called Sir Daniel Fortescue,
Mm.
and
Good
he
name.
fell
Good name. I
at
like
the
the name.
first charge of the Battle of Gallowmere.
Yes.
Arrow through the eye,
Hmm.
dead as a doornail,
Hmm.
and he's been resurrected to fight the evil sorcerer Zarok and save Gallowmere and its residents from tyranny.
Mm.
And he does that by chopping up zombies and collecting runes and gathering weapons and aiming to take his place in the Hall of Heroes.
Mm. Isn't there? So he's heralded as a hero of the battle,
He
but
is,
but
but
people don't realize that he was the first one to die in the
he
battle.
was the first one. He's the first one to fall.
Yeah, I quite like that. That's quite funny. There's a good sense of humor to the game. I'll definitely
There
give it
is,
that.
yeah.
It's not like a laugh a minute, but the general sort of theme of the game, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No, it's very tongue in cheek. It's got a very
Yeah,
sort of dry humour to it, I think.
yeah, yeah. It does. Yeah, everything from the sort of the voice acting as well. The sort of quite, I mean, well done, but quite sort of comedic kind of voice
Yeah.
work, I would say, in
Yes,
the game.
definitely.
It's quite a lot of it as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Of course, Mr. Fortescue doesn't really have much of a voice, given that he
No.
doesn't have a bottom jaw, so he just sort of mumbles his way through the whole the whole game.
Yeah, yeah. It's sort of an interesting take on the sort of the standard silent game protagonist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm itching to get into it.
Yeah.
Let's hear your thoughts on it.
Okay. Well, so it's I mean, it's a 3D platformer.
Hmm.
Sort of, I mean, it's as you say, it is a kind of a hack and slash. So there's lots of enemies to slash, and that was a sort of big part of my frustration, really, because I found a lot of the enemies very, very frustrating to deal with as a newcomer to it. I mean, I would sort of get into a tussle with an enemy, and I wouldn't quite be sure if I was like hitting him or he was hitting me. And there's not a lot of kind of you know, sort of hit flash to it, that sort of brief temporary invincibility after you get hit, where you're kind of safe.
Mm.
I found that was very minimal, and so sometimes I would, maybe I'm just not very good at the game. To be fair, I probably I'm not, but some certain enemy. The first few levels were okay. I was kind of sort of getting into it to some degree, but then it's quite a difficult game, I found, and
It's difficult, yeah.
yeah, and I found it just. I think that I appreciate the kind of the overall the work that's gone into the character and the general theme and the world of the game, but I don't know. There was something about it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was something about it that didn't appeal to me enough that I could sort of work through the kind of the frustrations that I had with the game. To kind of, how sometimes you're playing a game and you like the general theme of the game, and even though it's kind of a bit difficult and a bit trying, you kind of just want to keep persevering because you quite enjoy it. I wasn't really getting that with this, and I was just kind of like, wasn't enjoying myself, basically.
Was it generally like when you say it didn't appeal to you or didn't sort of resonate with you? Are we talking sort of art style or music or general gameplay?
No, I think it's just more the general theme. Obviously we say it's Halloween related. It's very kind of sort of spooky and dark, and kind of it plays on a lot of.
Tim Burton is often brought up as a comparison. It's very, very Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah, and while they sort of explore that as much as they can, I found. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on it, because, to be fair, I can see a lot of things that you would like about it. There's a lot of depth to the game that I can see. I guess I didn't delve in too much, but I could see that there are a lot of areas that I didn't go to. There's a whole Hall of Heroes thing where you if you beat enough enemies in a level, you can go to the Hall of Heroes and get a better weapon, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't actually do that, but I could see that playing
the Hall of Heroes at all?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh.
It's only something I sort of read about afterwards, really. I didn't really even realise it was a thing. So I don't know. Maybe I just didn't give this game enough time. I didn't have loads of time to play it this month, sadly. But I don't know what I played in 2018. In what I played, didn't grip me enough to want to keep playing. Maybe it would be different in 1998. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think that is possibly a fair thing to say. I mean, a lot of it, there is a heavy element of nostalgia with it for me.
Yes, I mean, I think obviously it's a game you really enjoyed as a kid, and I get that. totally. There's games like that for all of us that you
Yeah.
know. Um, and I'm not saying that while I didn't personally enjoy it, I'm not saying that it's just a bad game. I wouldn't argue that it's a bad game. It's just something that didn't. I don't know why, but it just didn't grab me, and I
I mean,
can't.
it happens.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
There are games that, no matter how popular they seem to be,
Mm.
you can just pick them up and just think it's just not clicking with me at all.
Yeah.
Dark Souls for me. Everyone loves Dark Souls. I gave it a go. It just didn't do anything for me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just didn't, and it's not even the fact that, I mean, it is a difficult game and I am crap at it, but I mean, there's plenty of games I'm crap at and I still enjoy.
Mm. Mm.
It was just something, I just didn't click with me. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
does happen.
Yeah, I think as I say, you can be crap at a game, and if the game is sort of charming you and kind of drawing you in and making you want to be better at it through its use of characters and color and theme, then you can kind of persevere. But it just, while I can appreciate that it's good, it just there was something about that. I mean, I'm not massively into that sort of kind of, I don't know, Halloweenish kind of. I can't describe it. It's kind of,
Aesthetic.
yeah, aesthetic. I don't mind like a single level about it. That's fine. But a whole game is kind of a bit. I mean, a lot of the colors are quite sort of very dark and kind of muted. I wouldn't say it's a particularly colorful game. And I think it just got to me after a while. I think it just wasn't kind of, giving me that kind of variety. I don't know.
It's quite interesting because I think it's one of the things that I think interested me and made me want to do a podcast with you in the first place
Mm.
was to find these situations where we would look at a game and come away with two completely different perspectives
Okay.
from it.
Yeah. And this is the
And
first time that's happened, really,
it
isn't
is
it,
the
so
first
far?
time that's happened.
Yeah.
Because basically the things that you've highlighted as like the art style and the how the so you say it's quite dark and the
Mm.
Halloweeny thing
Mm.
that really appealed to me.
Okay. Mm.
It had the opposite effect on me than
Okay.
it did with you.
Yeah.
I thought I just found the art style really and the whole aesthetic. Um, I'm not. It's not like I'm particularly fond of Halloween as a motif, but
Mm.
it was just done with such character, I
Yeah.
think, and the world that they built up obviously had so much thought behind it. It wasn't just you know stock pumpkins and black cats and
Yeah.
all the
It's
standard Halloween cliches. It
yeah.
was a really sort of I mean there are pumpkins in it. There's more pumpkins than you can shake a stick at, but it's all done in like it's all got a little slant to it, a little bit twisted and a little bit you know unique.
Yes.
And
Yeah. I mean, I can't really argue with any of that, to be honest, because it does have its own take on things, and it is a very kind of complete kind of world that they've kind of built very carefully and very meticulously. To try and, as you say, it's not just a stock kind of Halloween theme. They have thought about the different areas you could go to within that kind of theme that maybe aren't explored, and from obviously you start in like a graveyard, which is kind of standard, but then you kind of go into like a more of a cornfield thing with like these creepy scarecrows and stuff, and like the pumpkin stuff. And I think I flicked through some later levels on YouTube, and there's like a pirate area,
yeah,
and
there's
there's it seems to me like they kind of thought of everything that they could do to kind of fit in this world, that without going to too obvious kind of tropes with it, I suppose.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, uh, we already touched on the obvious comparisons to Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas,
Hmm.
which was, it was still very popular at the time. It had been out for a while, but I mean, it's still popular today. So it's one of those films and one of those styles that sort of stood the test of time. But
Hmm.
what I really liked was how it was the inspirations from that were obvious, but they were like Daniel Fortescue isn't just a Jack Skellington reskin. Do you know what I mean? They're
Hmm.
not just they're not just aping Tim Burton style um, for popularity because it's popular. It's obviously they've taken inspiration from it and they've taken it in their own direction, and I like that. And you mentioned as well that there is some depth to the game.
Hmm.
That's one thing I really liked about it as well. There's like it's not it's definitely not Metroidvania, but it does have that element where you will pick up skills and abilities later on in the game that allow you to go back to earlier levels and access areas that you didn't have before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's lots of replayability that way. It's not just a standard
Hmm.
progression from the first level to the end level and that's it.
Yeah.
You can jump in and out of levels as you go,
That's right.
and the more abilities you accumulate, there'll be bonus areas and secrets and stuff that you couldn't get to, and sometimes you don't you'll go back and play a level not specifically looking for a secret area, but you'll just stumble across something. You think, oh, I wonder if there's something there, and now you've got the abilities to do so. You find this new area, and it's really rewarding. It's
Hmm.
like there's all replayability factors of it in that regard. I think is
Yeah.
really
I, d-
really
I, I,
appealing.
I do appreciate that, definitely. I mean, I've said before that I'm a big fan of kind of, level structure and kind of game structure that kind of, you know, is linear, but at the same time offers you lots of different avenues to explore and kind of go back to and kind of find new areas that you didn't find before. And while I didn't do a lot of that in the time I played with it, I could see, I could see hints of it while I played, and I could see on YouTube people doing that and kind of exploring bits that I didn't even know were there, and kind of talking to people I didn't even know were there. And the level structure is interesting in that it seems kind of linear, but you can always go back and kind of like you've got a map, but it feels like once you completed the level, you kind of feel like you will be going back to it at some point.
Yeah,
And I forgot what I was going to say now. Um, yeah, there was just it's the fact that sort of the levels don't end in a kind of standard way. Like you normally end a level and you get a tally of your score and all that, and say like a grade or something, and you carry on to the next bit. It ends by literally him just walking out through, some
yeah.
darkness, and then going into the next one. You kind of get that sense that these aren't like individual missions to do and then just be discarded. They're all kind of part of
It is
a
actually like
large
a linked
world.
journey. Yeah,
Yes, you can. Yeah, it's kind of something that you can come back to and go back, and then you kind of go on the map, and you're kind of going in different directions, and you go back and you end up in somewhere else, and it's yeah. I mean, structurally, it was interesting, definitely. I think I was
I still got to say I'm surprised by this.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, I still stand by saying that the theme didn't appeal to me, but I probably didn't spend as much time as I needed to really realise these sort of deeper mechanics. I think. I mean, I put a couple of hours into it at least, and I got that. I tell you where I got to. I got to the big pumpkin boss,
Yeah.
the big head pumpkin head, and I think that's maybe a third-ish of the way through, something like that,
Um,
ish.
ish.
Yeah,
It's a very long game.
yeah, okay.
There's lots to
I,
do.
okay, I mean, I'm only going by like a YouTube, where I saw it in a YouTube when a guy's full YouTube playthrough, and it was about a third of the way through, I think.
I think, yeah.
But yeah,
I'd
okay,
say ish, yeah.
okay. I mean, yeah, but I think the thing is, I found a lot of the, as I say, a lot of the enemies quite frustrating to deal with. You've got things like it's just simple little things like bats and frogs and sort of zombies that run at you really quickly and scarecrows, and they're very sort of persistent and irritating. Maybe I just needed better weapons, but I found them dealing with them a bit of a chore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
All the
it's
heroes is where you need to go, mate.
yeah, clearly. Um, but it was also things like it's quite easy to sort of slip off and fall into
Oh, yeah,
you
there
know
is.
a,
Yeah, yeah, there is a lot of that.
yeah, into a lake that sort of kills you immediately because the health system is you've got like a health bar, and you can get these health vials that act a bit like the sort of energy tanks in Metroid games, where they kind of add an extra health bar to you once you've lost all yours. Except they're not permanent. Once you lose it, you've lost it forever. But you can just keep collecting them in levels. But I wasn't very good at the game, so I only ever had like one of those to hand, and I could die quite easily. I could lose both of them fairly quickly. And it was just that sort of. I mean, I think maybe the difficulty just ramped up a bit too quickly, and perhaps I just didn't get, to sort of look a bit deeper and to try and get to this Hall of Heroes thing. I don't know if they sort of explained the Hall of Heroes early on or not. Or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But
Yeah, I think it's explained in like one of the little books that they got like little information points around the levels, so especially the first few levels, and
okay,
it's sort of explained in there that you got to kill enough enemies to fill the chalice of souls, and then you can collect the chalice, and then you go to the Hall of Heroes when you complete the level. So
yeah,
it's not, there's no like cutscene that explains it or anything. It's but the information is there.
okay,
But
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of think, maybe if I had done that and maybe I was more aware of it, I would have had less of a problem with them. But I think I probably still find them a little bit irritating. But I mean that's gaming, to be honest, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
It is a difficult game. It's not. It really doesn't pull its punches.
yeah. There's just sort of fiddly things about it. Like I found running quite fiddly.
Yeah.
You got a double tap, the direction you want to run. And it took me quite a while to figure that out as well. Rather than sort of holding a run button, which I think would work a lot better, you have to kind of double tap where you want to go. And I was kind of just constantly sort of slippering around and kind of not quite running when I wanted to sort of avoid enemies. I think it was just sort of the little mechanics that just kind of, I don't know, irritated me a bit. And I don't know, perhaps in general I'm not being fair enough on the game, quite possibly.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, if I think there's a tendency these days that if you don't like a game that's popular, you're sort of expected to sort of self-flagellate and explain and why you don't like it. Sometimes you just don't like it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of.
Sometimes it's as simple as that.
So I think that is kind of the case with me. While I can appreciate that it's got all this depth and it's got stuff that I would normally like and find interesting, there was just something about the game, that like the overall package of it, and these sort of little annoying things didn't help and sort of exacerbated it. That I just didn't want to play much more of it. And even knowing all this now, I'm still not sure I would boot it up again and carry on, to be honest, because I don't know why. It's just I'm trying to think if it had a completely different theme, like I don't know, like a more, because I quite like a lot of color in my games, maybe a more sort of colorful world.
If it was a circus, if he was a clown and it was all a circus.
Yeah, maybe if done in the right way, I don't know, possibly. I mean, I think things like that are important to me. You could say it's kind of like superficial, but those kind of things, the visuals and the sound are kind of what keeps you playing a game sometimes, I think.
Definitely. I mean, you really can't underplay the importance of the art and the music in making a game what it is.
Yeah, and again,
it's as integral as anything else.
And I'm not saying that any of those things are bad in this game particularly. I'm not saying that they're below par. They just weren't my cup of tea, I guess. at the end of the day.
Hmm.
And yeah, unfortunately, I did. I try. I tried to sort of like the game, but I don't. Ultimately, I don't know. I do and I don't. I do in this kind of depth and the appreciation for what they've done and the kind of the work they put into it. But I don't in the sense that it's not. I don't know. It doesn't speak to me.
It's
You
just
know.
not for you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the first time it's happened on Polymer, but I'm sure it won't be the last.
No, no, it does happen to me sometimes. I'll pick up a game and I'm just like, I'm not feeling this game.
Yeah.
It's one of those things really. As a gamer, I think everyone gets it now and then. You know.
Well, yeah, definitely,
Mm.
definitely. I mean, sometimes you're playing a game and the Android takes its LED off its head and everything goes to pot.
Yeah,
You know,
the Android LED moment in all in all games.
it happens.
Yeah,
So, wow, an unexpected outcome.
yeah, I know. I thought you might be surprised by it. I
I
was,
am quite
yeah.
surprised.
I wasn't sure whether to break it to you gently or I don't know.
Wow, don't break it to me. Break it to Dark Hair Warrior on Twitter, who
Yeah,
said when
yeah,
they
go on.
first played it, after a
Mm.
friend introduced them to it, they were blown away by the art style, the gritty textures, the almost claymation animated style. Despite being an old PS1 game, was one of the most visually interesting games they'd ever played to this day, even.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. What can I
You know,
say? I'm sorry. Sorry. So this is
I
what,
mean,
yeah, because I read these as well, and I'm thinking, oh god,
yeah.
I don't want to offend.
Well,
I mean, I don't want to offend any of these people because I'm not really saying it's a bad game. I'm not really saying you're wrong. You know,
no, no.
I hope you all understand that. I'm not trying to be a bad guy here, honestly.
Like you don't have to apologise to me. That's clear. You just have to apologise to at For the Rangers because the story really got me. A failed braggart making right on his second go round, truly being the hero he'd made himself out to be. It's stuck with him ever since he first played.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
we're not here to. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to make you feel bad at all. Um,
Is anyone else going to
no,
make me feel bad?
no, look, you don't have to justify yourself. That is, except to the Super Cheese, who says, I remember playing it so much in my childhood, so much. I was incredibly young when it came out. I also remember going through 4 discs of the game because it kept breaking from overuse. The art style and cutscenes influenced me so much that it helped me pursue a career in filmmaking.
I mean,
But Ollie
to
says it's
go,
bad, mate, so you did wrong there. The wrong career.
yeah.
Sorry.
Can I just ask to
Um,
go through 4 discs of a single game? That's a hell of a lot of playtime. I
it
mean,
is.
is that just? I mean, would you not get that more from just taking the disc out and putting it back in a lot? Getting it scratched, that kind of thing. Would it? If you left it in the PS1, it'd be all right, wouldn't it?
I probably would,
Yeah.
but
I don't know.
I'm not.
I
I'm
was
not
just,
gonna.
I read that and I was just kind of curious what you were doing to these discs to get through 4 of them. I don't know.
Listen, he's not on trial here.
No, I'm not.
You are.
I'm not trying to turn it around.
He's not the one in the dock. He's not the one. Bad mouth in
This classic of gaming.
this touchstone of cultural relevance. Um, no, I mean, I'm obviously just trying to make you feel bad, but
Yeah, you're succeeding.
yes, good.
Mm.
No, I find it really. I replied to the guy who said it inspired him to pursue a career in filmmaking, and I mean, all jokes and ribbing aside, I think it's a really amazing thing that video games can inspire all can change the course of someone's career, can
Absolutely.
influence such a pivotal role in their life is going to be influenced by this game,
Mm. It's incredible. Something
and
the developers probably didn't even consider, to be
yeah, I
honest. I
mean
mean,
that must feel really amazing if you
yeah.
if to know if you've made a game and you've crafted this game and to know that what you'd made, whatever game it is,
Mm.
has had such an effect on someone that they've based their career decisions around it. I mean that's really something special
Yeah, it's
for
amazing. Mm.
that games can have that kind of effect on people. I mean, the fact that we're sat here doing a podcast shows how much games mean to us,
Mm.
and I think I don't know, I love it. I just love that there's people out there that are so passionate about games.
Yeah. That's it's incredible, really. Yeah. That I mean, even at the time, I don't think the developers. I mean, I sort of you read a lot of interviews with people who made games in like the 80s and the 90s, and some of them are sort of baffled as to how there's so much interest 20 years later.
Mm,
But I mean, these games, these are the games that we grew up playing, and we spent a
yeah.
lot of time on them, and they've really influenced us, especially if we continue playing games now, and we can still a lot of sort of look back at these games we loved as kids.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's ah.
Sorry, I don't mean to. I hope I didn't bring you down.
Well, I
Clearly,
mean,
I
you
have.
kind of did. No, no, you didn't. No, I mean
I mean, is
that's what
there
we do.
any? I don't want to leave it on a negative note. Is there anything sort of positive? Anything else that you haven't said that you really particularly like about the game? You know.
I don't think so. No, nothing in particular. I think that the game as just as a package just really appealed to me.
Mm.
I got it. I must have got it in 1998 because I played the demo of it when it was on the cover disc of the PlayStation magazine, and it was because obviously back then I was still at school, didn't have any money to sort of buy my own games, certainly not full price games.
Yeah.
So it was on my Christmas list for that year, and I asked for that, and I asked for Tomb Raider 3, I think was coming out that year,
Hmm.
and I got both of those, and I got a third game, a Siphon Filter as well, which I
Okay.
wasn't expecting. That was a
Ah,
nice surprise.
nice
That
Brucey
was my
bonus. Mm.
yeah, that was my Christmas. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, and I just remember just plowing hours and hours and hours into that game. I just really, Tomb Raider 3 was that was the headline game for that Christmas. That's the one I was really excited about.
Mm.
And it surprised me how much time I ended up putting into MediEvil. I would have thought, oh, Tomb Raider is going to be, the
Yeah.
main game and
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else is going to take a back seat. But
Yeah.
as it turned out, I ended up just putting so much time into MediEvil, and
Mm.
yeah,
Excellent.
I enjoyed it as a whole package. I wasn't quite as positive about the sequel.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just didn't. It's more of the same, basically.
Mm.
But I never put as much. There's nothing wrong with the game. I just didn't put as much time into it for some reason. But basically, there's the same situation as you. I don't know why it just didn't click with me in the same way that the
Okay.
first one
Interesting.
did.
Yeah.
And I suspect I'm probably not alone there, given that there was no follow up to that game. But
Yeah. I have heard that when I've done a little bit of research into this, a lot of people massively prefer the first one.
yeah, yeah,
For some reason. Yeah.
it's strange. I mean, like, there's nothing bad about the second one. Mechanically, it's on par with the first. It's not like a drastic change, but
Mm.
I still think I'm still surprised it was never there was never a Medieval 3. I think
Mm.
Sony have obviously been aware of the fact that people like the character and people like the series because when they did the PlayStation All Stars, that Smash Brothers ripoff they did.
Mm.
Are we allowed to call it a ripoff?
I
Smash
don't know.
Brothers inspired game that
Sure.
they did.
I don't think anyone's going to fine us or anything.
I don't think many people would argue the point, though. But yeah, he was included as one of the characters in that. So
Mm.
you
Awesome.
know they were aware that people like him, but
Yeah.
up until this new remake, he seemed to have been completely on the back burner.
Yeah.
So
So
quite
what's
surprising.
your views on the remake? Having seen the
I think
trailer.
it looks really good.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good. I'm kind of in the same position I feel about the Oddworld games.
Oh,
Where
right.
they've redone they've done these remakes of Oddworld,
Yeah.
and they look really lovely. They look, stunning graphics, and the gameplay's great and everything. But part of me just thinks I'd rather have a new Oddworld rather than
Yeah.
just the old
Yeah.
one
Sure.
again.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing. But I mean, I understand why they're doing it because there's people who would have never heard of Medieval, and if you
Mm.
just dumped out Medieval 3, a lot of people are going to be like, well, I've never heard of this series before. So it is something to sort of get the series back into the public consciousness, I
Yeah.
think.
Sure.
So I can understand that, but it looks really good. I wish it. I do wish it was a brand new game rather than another remake. But I'm gonna pick it up. I think they've done a really good job with it. As long as the controls and everything are the same, because I've played it so much, it's sort of muscle memory now. If they
Okay.
tweak the sort of the controls too much, it's going to feel a bit odd and take a bit of getting
Mm,
used to. So as long as they captured the same sort of feeling, then
yeah.
yeah, I think it looks really really quite good.
Well, as someone who is new to the game, I think perhaps the controls could be tweaked a bit, but ideally it would have both options, so you could play with either both controls, like the double tap for the run, or it maybe if they added a run button, for
I
example, that would
think
be as an option. That would be quite
I
good.
think it'll probably be all analog now, won't it?
Yeah.
There won't be an actual run button. Because the original game does work with an analog pad, but
Mm.
it's one of those games where it was so early on in the DualShock life. I don't think many games had quite. They haven't perfected how to use analog controls yet.
No.
And the analog controls never really felt right with me on Medieval.
No.
So hopefully with all the intervening years and all the practice that developers have had with analog controls and cameras and things like that, it'll be a
Yeah.
lot smoother all around. And I think they'll probably go for move the stick half forward to walk and full to run, and it'll.
Yeah. That would make a lot more sense. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way they'll go with it. But there'll definitely be some tweaks, I think. It's not going to be exactly the same, but
No.
as long as they keep the general spirit of it, I think
Yeah.
they'll be good.
It
And
looks
as long
pretty
as they put
faithful to it.
the whole game on the disc,
Yes, that would be ideal. The first
none
quarter
of
of the
this
game.
Spyros.
Yeah. Killed.
Not
Is
not
that
like
that's
the first level, and then you have to download a 5 GB patch to get the
Yeah,
rest of it.
that's just that come out yesterday.
It
Spyro,
comes
or
out
my
Tuesday.
Tuesday, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna get it eventually, but not just yet.
Yeah, the whole first game is on disc, and the introductory levels, they haven't said how
Uh,
many levels.
what have you?
Some of the levels of Spyro 2 and 3 are on the disc, and then
That's,
if you want the rest, you'll have to
that's
download it.
ridiculous. They still, even though they had delayed, they still didn't bother to put
Even after the
all the.
delay, it's ludicrous.
Ridiculous.
But there
Anyway,
we go.
that's another matter. Right,
So
go on.
let's wrap this up for now then.
Yeah.
Let us agree to disagree on
Yes.
Medieval,
Yep. Absolutely.
and let's hear your pick for next month's game.
Yeah, okay. I've gone completely opposite direction actually, but it is a game from my childhood that I think I don't know if you've played it or not, but I suspect you're less familiar with it than I am. It's a Nintendo 64 game. I wanted to go for a new console. I wanted to go for a new genre that we haven't done yet.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted to go for a Christmassy game, but I couldn't really think of an appropriate one. So this is a game that is not particularly Christmassy, but it does have a Christmassy or a snowy world in it. So we can go with that. For our
Okay.
for our Christmas episode. Um, it's not dark at all. It's very bright. It's very colourful. It's very kiddie, but it's great fun. It's Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64.
Okay, yes. I have played it, but I'm not super familiar with it.
Okay,
I've
excellent,
just picked
perfect.
it up every now and then
Yeah.
and had to go. I've never put any significant time into it.
Okay, that's good then. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it'll be the same again. Maybe it won't grab you, and we'll be even.
Hmm.
I don't know, but it's just one of those games in my childhood that I really really liked for some reason. And I think, as I say, I like games with bright colours and perhaps you could say sort of kiddie games. But I just like those kind of characters and just sort of, and a nice catchy soundtrack. And that's the kind of thing that will grab me and that will kind of keep me playing a game, even if I find it difficult.
A lot of people consider it superior to Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart 64, I definitely, I think it is. Certainly in terms of the single player, there's a lot of as far by racing games now, there's a lot of depth to the single player mode. Whereas Mario Kart is literally just sort of Grand Prix and time trial, and
I was going to say,
it's always been that way in
it's
Mario
kind of
Kart.
like an adventure type mode, isn't it?
There is an adventure type mode, yeah.
Yeah.
And you got cars, you got hovercraft, and you got planes, and there aren't really many other games that give you that kind of, choice all at once.
No.
So Sonic and All Stars Racing Transformed it does it differently, but it's the only other one I can think of where you can kind of pick your. You can't pick your craft in that, but it gives you 3 different kind of options like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just a really good game. Great characters. It sold me on buying an N64, basically.
Mm.
Yeah, I know. I played it around a friend's house, got really, really into it, and I thought I want an N64. It seems like such a sort of it's just a kart racer. It's just kind of it seems like a throwaway game, but it's just a really, really good one, and it's just a really enjoyable one. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to have fun replaying that. I played it. I played it to death in 1998, and I've dipped in and out since then, but never played it in any great detail, really. Oh, I did play the DS kind of port.
I was going to say there was a port of
there was a
some
DS
kind,
port,
yeah,
and I played that a bit, but that was a good 10 years ago now anyway. So yeah, I'm going to look forward to digging that in.
Brilliant. That's
digging into that
choice.
again. Yeah, a nice sort of happy game to end the year with.
Yeah.
I thought. Okay, so
When
that's
you said
my.
it was going to be a Christmas game, I thought you were going to do Christmas Nights into Dreams.
I did consider Christmas Nights into Dreams, yeah, and we could do that next year, perhaps.
Yeah.
Which it's just it's more it's kind of more of a demo, really, that game, but there is
yeah.
yeah, there's like a matching pairs game in it where you kind of you eventually unlock like a Sonic game in it, but before that you sort of unlock movies and pictures and stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's another game that we're not playing, but but we could have. I do try and play it every Christmas Eve though. Nights into Dreams. It's my go-to Christmas game. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's a nice little.
That's
nice
a good little
thing.
tradition.
Yeah, just a quick. Yeah, that's my Christmas tradition. I don't do it every year, but if I can, I get the old Saturn out. I put Christmas Nights into Dreams on. I have a quick play of it.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Then I tuck myself in bed and wait for Santa Claus to come. Safe in the knowledge that I've, unlocked some pictures and movies and stuff.
Yeah.
In the matching pairs game. Anyway.
Good night, children.
Good night, children.
Okay.
All right. Enough of this nonsense. Let's end the show, shall we?
Yeah. Let's end the show for now.
Yeah.
If you want to speak to us, you can email us. Let Ollie know why he's
Please
wrong.
Don't send me hate mail.
Podemup@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You can find us on Twitter @Podemup, and just write a letter. Just address it to Podemup. Whack it in the post.
It'll get here. Yeah.
It'll get here eventually. It'll find its way here.
Yeah. Yeah. Please do. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we do. Especially thank you to all the people who gave us comments about MediEvil and their thoughts and memories from it. It's really lovely to hear from people and have their opinions shared about the games and stuff we play. And we're always open to suggestions about any games you'd like us to cover or like us to have a look at as well. So get in touch any way you can, and as long as it's by Twitter or email.
Yeah, or post.
Or post.
Yeah.
And that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening, and we will see you again in approximately a month's time. It always seems to work out about a month's time. We don't have a set schedule, but that's how it seems to work out. And I hope you have a lovely time.
Have a lovely time between now and then. Goodbye.
Bye.